Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Unscripted. Today I am with Lisa Rothstein. Lisa, thanks for being on. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So I do want to cover how we met because I think that's actually fairly interesting. But before we get there, just do a quick introduction of yourself and your business because you do some great things. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Okay, well, thanks, Nathan. My name is Lisa Rothstein. I'm a cartoonist for the New Yorker magazine, and I also have a company called Drawing Out Your Genius. I like to say we make complicated things simple and boring things interesting through the power of visual and verbal storytelling. And I work with clients to help them tell their stories and get more buy-in for their products and their ideas.
That's great. I mean, it's such a great talent, Lisa. Honestly, I'll skip ahead into how we met because I thought it was pretty interesting. So 2 years ago, we did an online webinar, and it must have been like 400 or 500 people on this, workplace reinvention kind of webinar. And I did my presentation. It was a lot of slides, which for those of you who know me, I tend to have a lot of slides sometimes. And so it was about 45 minutes, maybe 90 slides. And at the end of it, I realized you were actually whiteboarding or illustrating that entire meeting. And I was impressed how much you were able to keep up with it, first of all, but then the art is just visually stunning. I don't know if are you able to show us kind of what you drew up? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually have it right here. Let's see if we can show my iPad. So this is the entire talk that we did. I did on my iPad. Here's a little doodle of you, Nathan. How do you think I captured you? It was my first time ever seeing you. But yeah, you talked a lot about Logitech and all of the wonderful new technology that was allowing. At the time, we were going hybrid. It was kind of a new thing to be hybrid, and all of the great technology that allowed people to, both for personal and for teams, improve the experience of meetings and gathering together, even when they couldn't be together in the same room. So a lot of information.
Yeah, but it's powerful. I mean, it's one of those things I'm like, how did she do this in 45 minutes? Or I think I kind of went up close to an hour actually that day, but it was pretty amazing. And then of course we've been working together ever since, and we've got a couple of projects we're working on together. But I brought you on today because one, I think it's just an incredible craft that you have. And obviously you do so many more things, not just obviously drawing for geeks and things like that. But I tend to get stuck with just trying to draw simple stick figures. In fact, most times I go up to a whiteboard and I'm like, hey, here's my team. And I'm literally drawing circles and stick figures. And we talked about this, obviously, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are like me. I'm curious, what's your perspective? And most people, can they draw, or do they feel like there's this wall that they just can't get beyond, or are they scared? You see it every day. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Almost everybody, because I speak about this in a lot of different conferences and things like that, almost everybody thinks that they can't draw. And the kind of drawing that I like to teach them is really caveman style, kindergarten style, very simple drawings that are a little bit more expressive than stick figures, but are really super, super simple because it's really not about art. I like to say it's not about art, it's about articulation of ideas. And it's not about being beautiful. I also like to say the worse it looks, the better it works, because we want something low fidelity that expresses an idea, not something where you look at it like a piece of artwork, but where you read it like you're reading a message or a story.
Beyond communicating, and there's an immense power to just being able to visually craft this on a whiteboard. So much better, Lisa, than just like dots and bullets, right? Like I'm famous for that. And then of course the stick figures as well. But the other side of it for me, and I do this a lot I'll show you sort of this, but I do Post-its a lot. This is just like a whole stack of Post-its, right? But the art of writing it down, this helps you remember, it helps you noodle, it helps you draw and doodle and all that kind of good stuff, and helps me remember. And even though it does take a lot of work to get all this into actual, meeting notes at some point, it's just the art of writing down for yourself is great because you get some more satisfaction and get to retain it. But it's good to hear that people are doing it. When you do it for people, because you do it through meetings and part of offsites and things like that, what's the feedback from people in your seminar when they come out of it?
Well, they really love it because they're able to see back what they actually heard. It helps them remember what they heard. I've been listening. What I've been really doing more than drawing is just listening like crazy, and sort of anything that jumps out as being important goes onto the picture. I don't get everything. Feels like I do, but I don't get everything. And so that's why, I sometimes hesitate to show things like the thing I showed before, because I don't want people to feel like they have to draw like that, the way I do for work. because you can do chicken scratches that capture some of the ideas that people were saying, and it still brings back so much more of the memory of what was said, the takeaways and everything when you're taking visual notes for yourself. You know, you might try it at a meeting next time, you doodle the notes instead of just writing things down, and you'd be so surprised how much more you remember.
So one of the things I did, and I think you've told me this in the past, but I'm going to bring it up because I think it's a good example. So circles, right? I'll write up bullets. Sometimes I will try to draw stick figures. I think we've established that as a sad attempt at me drawing. But then I also do circles. And I think you said something like, well, there's so much more that you can bring out of a circle. And I was surprised. I was wondering if you could show us that.
Everybody can draw a circle. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. So I'm going to just draw a bunch of circles here right now. And you've got, like 6 circles. And they're not perfect. But if I just add a few little marks on some of them, you can see it makes a completely different meaning as to what that circle means. You can do something like this. You can do, a party balloon. You can do something that looks like a wheel. Now I'm beginning to run out of ideas here. You could do something that looks like a tomato. And, maybe you could always do, a happy face. So now you have like all of these different symbols, really. And the crazy thing is that depending on what you put with the symbols, because the pictures don't have to stand by themselves, depending on what words you put with the symbols, you could do something like this over here. And that means one thing. Or if I decide I don't want that to be what I want to put there, I could put, let's say if it's business, I could be putting something like this. And now this means something completely different. I have maybe a little truck that's going here, maybe a little plane that's going here. Now we're having a whole discussion about logistics.
Yeah.
The sunshine can be literal, it just can mean sun, but it could also mean something like this. And now we have like a whole different meaning. So we have like a balloon, usually means a party, but it could also mean something that's helium that might burst. So depending on what you decide to make it mean, it can mean lots of different things.
I was thinking the air out of the balloon is what I came up with.
Yeah, exactly. So what's great about it is it does get people to pay attention, and it gets people thinking. And really, this is the way you make the pictures tell a story.
That's pretty cool. I'm a little selfish in this, where I actually do want to learn, and I've been watching you for a while. So one of the exciting things for us is that we're going to do a show together, right? We're going to call it, what do we end up calling it? Shape Your Story, right? So we're going to have a series. Since it's not out yet, I'm going to give everyone a preview. It will be available on YouTube, but the way to find it is on the Logitech for Business LinkedIn page. So sometime in the spring, we'll start releasing episodes one after the other. And tell us, Lisa, we've talked about what the episodes are going to entail, but no one really knows about this yet. So tell us what people will expect to learn. What do they expect to learn in a show like this?
Yeah, so we've got some great episodes planned, and the objective is really to teach the world how to whiteboard, as we said. And so basically to do that, what I'd like to do is teach everybody a very simple visual vocabulary that they can, a little bit like what you just saw, that they can use to tell lots of different kinds of stories. In order to do that, there's a few different buckets that falls into. I talk about character, concepts, and context. We'll cover that a little bit more. Character, where you can go and express emotions, human emotions, the way I sort of do as a cartoonist, and also showing you how to go beyond the stick figure to create more expressive human figures that are still very simple. We'll talk about the use of color, because everybody wants to know about how and when to use color in your drawings to improve the meaning and not confuse people. We'll also probably talk quite a bit about technology, about how to share your drawings into a meeting, either using an iPad or using something like a document camera like the Logitech Reach, which I also have and love, if you want to just use pencil and paper. So we just have a lot of stuff that we're going to cover. And by the end of the series, everybody who watches this should be able to sort of jump in and whiteboard spontaneously in any meeting and basically exhibit a superpower. And everyone's going to wonder, how do you do that? It's really not as hard as you think.
That's great. I'm really looking forward to it, especially because I want to learn. And the only way you learn is by doing. So the goal here is to not only show me live how to actually do any of these things, but I want everyone who's watching to be able to follow along and learn, because that's how you learn. It's how you learn a song on the guitar or a violin or whatever else. You have to practice. So thank you, Lisa. That's I'm really looking forward to it. So that'll be around spring 2025. Again, look for it on Logitech for Business on our LinkedIn channel. Lisa, thanks for coming onto the podcast. It's great to see you.
You too. I can't wait.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right, folks, that is another episode of Unscripted. Catch us next time.